My name is Madison, and if there's one thing I've learned since becoming a mother, it's this. Your dog will sense danger long before you ever do. It happened on a quiet Saturday afternoon. The kind of afternoon where nothing feels wrong, nothing feels out of place, nothing feels dangerous. Until it suddenly does. I was in the kitchen prepping lunch, humming along to some old country song, when Rex, my 4-year-old German shepherd, froze in the living room. Not the playful freeze. Not the I heard a squirrel freeze. This was different. His ears shot up. His body stiffened. Then he walked slowly toward the front door, staring at it like the air itself had changed. "Rex," I called. He didn't move. I wiped my hands on a towel and walked around the counter, just in time to hear it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Rex growled, low, deep, a sound I'd rarely heard from him, a sound that felt like a warning. I peeked through the window. A man stood on the porch, tall, lean, wearing a dark jacket despite the warm weather. A baseball cap pulled low enough that I couldn't see his eyes. He didn't smile, he didn't wave, he just waited. "Can I help you?" I called through the door. His voice came out smooth, too smooth. "Ma'am, I'm here about a gas leak report. Need to check inside." "Gas leak?" I blinked. "I didn't report anything." He chuckled softly. "Well, your neighbor might have. It's safer if I look around." Rex barked so violently the walls trembled. "Easy, boy," I whispered, but my hand was shaking. Something felt wrong. Very, very wrong. "We didn't get any notice from the gas company," I said, louder this time. He shifted his weight. His hand tightened on something clipped to his belt. A tool? A bag? "Ma'am, it's urgent. Please open the door." Rex lunged at the door so hard it rattled in the frame. The man stepped back, startled. "Control your dog!" he snapped. I swallowed hard. "Sir, which gas company are you with?" He froze for a second, too long, before answering. Midwest Energy." We didn't have any company by that name here. My heart slammed against my ribs. Rex growled again, louder, deeper, angrier. The man's eyes flicked toward the side window, scanning the living room behind me. I suddenly felt cold. He wasn't here about a gas leak, and he wasn't leaving. "Ma'am," he said again, voice now sharp, "I need to come inside." Rex barked so fiercely the man jumped backward off the porch step. Then, without another word, he turned and walked briskly down the driveway. Not toward a work truck, not toward a company vehicle, toward a dark sedan parked halfway down the street. He got in, drove away, fast. I didn't move, not for a long minute. Rex sat in front of me, breathing heavily, his eyes still locked on the street outside. He knew before I did. Something about that man was wrong, very wrong. I crouched next to Rex, heart pounding. "Good boy," I whispered. "What were you protecting me from?" Rex didn't blink. He just kept staring at the empty street, as if expecting the man to return. And deep down, I felt it too. This wasn't over, not even close. For the rest of that evening, Rex didn't leave the front door, not for food, not for water, not even when I called him in my softest, "come here, boy" voice. He sat there like a statue, muscles tight, ears rotating, eyes tracking every movement outside. At first, I tried to brush it off. Maybe it was just a weird guy, I told myself. Maybe Rex is just being protective. But deep down, I felt it. Something had shifted. That night, long after I put my son Lucas to bed, I turned off the lights and paced through the living room. The only sound was the humming refrigerator and Rex's breathing, slow, steady, alert. At 11:47 p.m., Rex suddenly lifted his head. Then he moved to the window, slowly, quietly, like a trained K9. "Rex, what is it?" He didn't answer, of course. He just stared. My heart raced as I peeked out through the blinds. A car, parked across the street. Not the same one as earlier. This one was a dark blue SUV, engine off, lights off. But someone was sitting inside. I could see the faint outline of a head. Watching, staring straight at our house. I stepped back quickly, covering my mouth. No, this can't be happening." Rex growled, low, vibrating, like he was warning the night itself. I grabbed my phone, ready to call the police. But then the SUV's headlights flashed on. The engine roared to life. The car sped away. Fast, too fast. I stood frozen, my pulse hammering. This wasn't random. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was intentional. Someone was watching my home, watching me. Rex paced in front of the windows, restless, uneasy. I sank to the couch, shaking. "Who was that?" I whispered. Rex looked at me, ears forward, posture rigid. He didn't have the words, but he had the answer. Danger. Real danger. The next morning, things got worse. I stepped outside to grab the newspaper, Rex glued to my side as if he didn't trust the air around us. On the ground, next to my mailbox, was a slip of paper, a printed note. 4 words. "We need to talk." No name, no number, no explanation. I spun around, scanning the empty street. No one. Rex barked sharply at the quiet neighborhood, as if telling whoever was hiding. "I see you." I rushed back inside and locked the door. My hands were trembling now. I tried calling Mark, my husband, who was on a business trip in Denver, straight to voicemail. I held Lucas tighter in my arms. Rex never left our side. Every creak in the house made me jump. Every passing car made Rex bolt to the window. Around noon, another knock sounded at the door. Not soft, not polite. 2 fast knocks, a pause, then 3 slow ones. The exact same pattern as yesterday. Rex exploded toward the door, barking with a ferocity I had never heard from him. I peeked out the side window, and my blood turned to ice. It was the same man, same hat, same jacket. But this time, he wasn't smiling. He wasn't pretending to be friendly. His expression was cold, focused, predatory. "Ma'am," he called, voice sharper than before. "I need you to open the door." Rex slammed his body against the door so hard I thought it might crack. The man flinched. "Control that dog," he shouted. "No," I shouted back. "Leave, now." He stepped closer. "Open the door, Madison." My heart stopped. He knew my name. I hadn't told him. I hadn't spoken it. "Who are you?" I yelled, voice cracking. But he didn't answer the question. Instead, he said something that froze every cell in my body. "You're not safe, and neither is your son." Rex's growling deepened into something primal, ancient, protective. The man stepped back slowly, eyes scanning the windows again, then turned and walked away. Not toward a car, not toward a driveway, but down the street, into the neighborhood, as if he knew exactly where he was going. Rex barked for a full minute after he disappeared. I locked every door, closed every curtain, and kept Lucas in my arms. My breathing was shallow, my hands were shaking. Why is he doing this? What does he want? Rex pressed his head against my leg. Then he did something he had never done before. He sat in front of Lucas's room and did not move. Not for water, not for food. He sat there all afternoon and all through the night, guarding, watching, waiting. Like he knew, the real threat hadn't arrived yet. That night, sleep didn't come. Not for me, not for Lucas, and definitely not for Rex. He stayed in front of the nursery door with a tension in his body that terrified me more than the knocks, the stranger, or the note. Rex only acted like this for one reason. Someone was coming. By 2:14 a.m., the house felt too quiet, too still, the kind of silence that presses against your ears, begging you to notice something is wrong. I walked into the hallway, my socks silent on the hardwood floor. Lucas slept in my arms, his tiny breaths warm against my neck. Rex didn't even glance at me. His ears were locked forward, eyes fixed on the front door. "Rex, what is it?" He didn't blink. I swallowed, forcing myself to look toward the door. That's when I heard it. A soft scrape. Metal on metal. Then another. Someone was trying to pick the lock. My entire body froze. "No, no, no, this isn't happening!" Rex growled so deeply the floor seemed to vibrate beneath him. I backed away, clutching Lucas, heart thundering so loud I thought it might wake the whole block. The scraping stopped. For 5 long seconds, nothing moved. Then, the doorknob twisted, slowly, deliberately. Exactly the same as before. I gasped and backed into the hallway, pressing my spine against the wall. Rex lowered his body, muscles, coiling like a loaded spring. The doorknob twisted again, then rattled violently. Whoever was outside wasn't knocking anymore. They were trying to enter. I whispered, barely able to breathe. "Rex, stay." He growled in reply, feral, ancient, protective. A shadow passed under the doorframe. Then, silence. I didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't dare make a sound. I waited and waited. Nothing. Finally, my voice shaking, I took a tiny step toward the peephole. But Rex suddenly leapt forward and barked so violently I stumbled backward, almost dropping Lucas. Rex's entire body lashed toward the door, claws scraping the wood, teeth bared like he was ready to tear through it. What is it?" I whispered. Then I saw it. Through the thin crack at the bottom of the door, a second shadow. Someone else was out there. 2 people. In the middle of the night. Watching our house. Trying to get inside. I staggered backward, adrenaline flooding my veins. Lucas whimpered in my arms and I rocked him, desperate to keep him quiet. "Rex," I whispered, "we need help." I fumbled for my phone, hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped it, and dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency?" "My house." My voice broke. "Someone is trying to break in. My dog is going crazy. Please hurry." "Stay inside. Don't open the door. Officers are on their way." Rex barked again, this time toward the side of the house. I turned. A silhouette moved past the living room window. "Rex! Rex! No! Rex!" He bolted toward the back door, barking with a vicious intensity I had never seen from him. There wasn't just one intruder. There weren't 2. There were multiple. I backed deeper into the hallway, gripping Lucas, heartbeat crashing in my ears. Someone knocked on the side window. Hard. Then the back door handle jiggled. Then footsteps scraped the gravel outside. They were circling the house, hunting. Rex barked, lunged, slammed his entire body against the back door. The wood rattled violently. "Get away!" I screamed. "Police are coming." A man's voice responded. Low, calm, cold. "You should have opened the door earlier, Madison." My stomach dropped. It was the same voice as before. But then, another voice joined him. "You have something that belongs to us." Rex launched himself at the door again, growling like a demon unleashed. "Something of theirs? What? What could they possibly—" A crash exploded from the front porch. I shrieked. Rex sprinted back toward the front door, barking like the house was under attack. My hands trembled violently. "Please! Please! Someone! Just get here!" Blue and red lights suddenly flashed across the window. A siren, then another, then another. Relief hit me so hard I nearly collapsed. But Rex didn't stop barking, didn't stop warning, because the danger wasn't gone. One intruder sprinted across the yard, right past the police cruiser, vanishing into the shadows between houses. Another vaulted over the fence, disappearing into the trees. The first man, the one from the porch, stood frozen under the flashing lights. Rex threw himself against the door again. The man turned and ran. Officers chased him immediately, shouting commands. And as all this chaos exploded outside, I stood in the hallway holding my baby, shaking, terrified, and completely confused, because the intruders hadn't tried to steal anything from the house. They hadn't broken windows. They hadn't taken the cars. All they had done, repeatedly, was try to get inside. And they knew my name. And they knew I had a son. And they said I had something that belonged to them. I sank to the floor, tears streaming down my face. Rex returned to me, pressing his head against my arm, as if telling me, "You're safe for now, but it's not over." And I believed him. Because I had no idea what they wanted, no idea who they were, no idea why they came for me. But Rex knew something about them, something I didn't. And that truth, whatever it was coming. Soon. The police stayed outside for nearly an hour, searching the neighborhood with flashlights, shouting commands into the dark, knocking on doors to see if any cameras caught what happened. But the moment the officers stepped away from the porch to check the backyard, Rex moved again. Not out of fear, not out of panic, but with a laser-sharp focus I had never seen. He walked to the foyer, then to the living room, then to the hall, sniffing, tracking, processing. I followed him quietly, holding Lucas against my chest. "Rex, what is it?" "They're gone." but Rex wasn't looking for them. He was looking for something they left behind, and then he stopped at the side window. His ears shot up, his head tilted. He pawed lightly at the floorboard. "Rex?" I crouched next to him. There, wedged in the tiny gap between the baseboard and the wall, was a small black object, a GPS tracker. My stomach twisted into a cold knot. Oh my God! The men weren't trying to get inside to steal something. They were trying to retrieve something, something they had hidden, in my home. My hands trembled as I picked it up. It felt heavy, expensive, nothing like a cheap tracker. "Why was this in my house?" Rex nudged my elbow hard, almost pushing the tracker out of my grip. He wanted me to put it down. He wanted me to understand how dangerous it was. A knock hit the door behind us. I jumped so violently I nearly dropped Lucas. "Ma'am, it's Officer Hayes." Rex relaxed only a fraction. Not fully, not yet. I set the tracker on the table and opened the door slightly, keeping the chain locked. The officer was young, tall, steady-eyed. "Ma'am, are you okay? Did you see anything else?" I hesitated. Then I held up the tracker. His eyes widened immediately. "That," he began, stepping closer, lowering his voice. "That is high-end tech, not something amateurs carry." Rex growled softly behind me. The officer glanced down at him. "That dog saved your life tonight." I swallowed hard. "I don't understand. Why would they put this in my house? Why me?" Officer Hayes' jaw tightened. "Ma'am, earlier today, officers arrested a man 3 blocks from here. He tried to break into another home. He had a fake utility badge in his pocket." My pulse pounded harder. Hayes continued. "He also had pictures, women, houses, kids." He paused. "And one of the photos was you, standing in your yard." I felt my lungs collapse. No, I don't know him. I've never—" "I believe you," Hayes said. "But these people, they target women at home alone. They track patterns. They pretend to be utility workers, so you'll open the door." My knees buckled. I grasped the wall to keep myself up. "If your dog hadn't reacted," he added quietly, "you would have opened the door." Rex pressed himself against my leg, as if telling me, "I knew, I always knew." Later, after the police left, after Lucas was fed and finally asleep, after I checked all the windows twice, 3 times, I sat on the floor beside Rex. He sat tall, proud, chest forward, as if he carried the weight of the entire night on his shoulders. I rested a hand on his fur. "Rex, you saved me. You saved my son." My voice cracked. "You knew before I even felt it." He looked at me with those deep amber eyes, the kind that made you believe dogs truly understood the world in ways humans never could. And then he did something so simple, so pure. He leaned his head into my chest. A silent promise. A guardian's vow. The next morning, the police returned with more information. The men had been part of a coordinated break-in ring targeting suburban families. They'd been casing houses for weeks, mine included. The note, the knocks, the fake badge, all part of a staged psychological push. But the tracker, that was different. That meant they had chosen us. They had planned something bigger, something worse, something that might have ended in horror, if not for Rex. I knelt beside him, brushing my fingers through his thick coat. "You kept us alive," I whispered. Rex closed his eyes, calm now that the threat was gone. But I knew. In that moment, something had changed forever. I no longer doubted his instincts. I no longer questioned his warnings. I no longer wondered why he reacted the way he did. Because when humans lie, when intentions deceive, when danger hides behind a polite smile, a dog sees the truth. And Rex saw everything long before I did.